Good evening.
Hi, good evening, Laura. Just gonna wait for Rio to join in a second, okay?
Okay,
Uh,
thanks.
all right, no problem. Hey, Rio, it's Khalid. I'll be available with you this evening, okay?
Thank you, Khalid. Can you hear me?
I hear you very well.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, just let me know if you need anything. I just made you co-host, okay?
Wonderful. Thank you. Khalid, would you be able to tell me how? I'm not very familiar with WebEx, and I'm trying to figure out how I can just put it on gallery so I can see everybody at once.
So if you are looking at, you can see everybody's because for me right now, I have it in grid view. So if you're at the top of your screen above, like, the participants, you should see like active speaker video view, active speaker and thumbnail video view, floating panel view. Do you see those options?
I do not.
Okay.
Sometimes
Okay.
I'm on a Chromebook, and I know a number of these systems, Zoom as well, runs a little bit
Mhm.
differently on the Chromebook, and I
Okay.
do not
So
see those options.
okay. So do you see file, edit, share, view, audio and video, participant, meeting, breakout help? Do you see those options?
I see participants, mute, stop video,
That's the bottom.
share.
Look at the top. Look at the top of your WebEx.
I have nothing at the top. I have a little eye that just gives me information about the meeting, and then I have
Mm,
in the top it says your name, Brooklyn Community Board 9, and there's the recording button.
Jeez. Okay. And hold on for 1 second. Michelle, hi. What are you asking about? You're muted, Michelle. You're muted. You're muted.
This is the link that I had for the search committee meeting.
Yeah, so the venues had to change because the search committee is conducting interviews tonight, so they would have preferred to use the Zoom platform. So let me try to get you a link and send it to you, okay?
Okay, no problem.
Okay. And then for real, I'm gonna share my screen so you can see what I see. 1 second. You see my screen by any chance?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see. You know, now that I'm in this format, it's different. So for me, if I had it in full screen, yikes, what is this thing? Well, for me, if it were in full screen, like these options I have here above your
Right.
head, this is what I see that lets me know, okay, well, I can switch to active speaker or,
Mm-hmm.
speaker on the
Mm-hmm.
top and then other panels on the bottoms and switch to left or right or a grid type of view. That
Mm-hmm.
I see this, and it's right next to when
I
I have
found
my
it.
panels.
Thank you.
Oh, you found the link, Michelle? Okay, yeah, sorry about that.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
All right. Have a good one.
You too. Enjoy your night. Yeah, real. But from my top left, I would have, like how you would see in a Microsoft document, file, edit, etc. Meeting participants. So
Yeah. I think this may be an issue, a Chrome issue.
it could
I'll
be.
do research because I don't see the options.
Jeez. Okay.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
worries.
Okay. Let's
Thank you.
see.
Um,
I'm trying right clicking. Yeah, I don't know for the Chromebook.
yeah, I'm just trying some other options, but nothing yet.
Hmm.
Let's see.
Yeah, and you don't have like a view where you can, I don't know, because
No, don't have any of the options. So
jeez. And are you accessing it from the WebEx app or from the browser?
through a browser, I'm not
Wow.
sure. Yeah, I think I wonder if I'm going to take a quick look at the Google Store has a WebEx
App.
extension.
Yeah. Yeah, because if it's through the browser, then you lose some of the actual capabilities. That's why. It could be that.
Yeah, this is no apps. Here we go. WebEx, no. WebEx Instant Messenger, no. What is this? No. All right, I'll do some research. It's fine.
Okay, no worries.
Melanie, Melanie, were you the member that was recently added? I'm not sure if Melanie can hear me.
I requested that she unmute herself. Hi, Melanie. If you're here, can you just respond and let us know? Be away from the keyboard then.
Yeah. Okay. Connect to a venue system, switch audio, lock meeting. No. Nope.
Hello, good evening.
Hi.
How are you?
Well,
Good.
Tria, right?
Yes, I'm Demetria.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too.
We're just gonna give it a few moments for folks to sign on, okay? And
Okay.
We'll get going at 7:15 maybe. Just hang in for a little bit. Is that okay?
Yes. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah. Great. It's okay. We'll give it a few more moments, okay? A couple more minutes. Hi, Ms. Lewis.
Hello. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you for joining. Welcome to the board.
Yes, thank you. I'm glad to get connected. I know it it took some time. I had to get off on my well, I'm still on my laptop. Like
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know
okay.
what was going on there. Hello, everyone.
Um, um, Ms. Lewis, do you prefer to go by Ms. Lewis or Melanie?
You can call me Melanie. Thank you.
Riel. We'll do introductions from everybody else. We're just going to give it a moment for everybody to sign on. I realize that I had to reschedule this meeting due to a work conflict, and that might have caused some problems with the other committee members. So
Oh.
I'll do my best not to do that again.
Mm.
Unfortunately, work time is precious at the moment. It's difficult.
Yeah.
I know I did hear from Mr. Roberts that he was attending, but Mr. Roberts had challenges last time, Khalid, on getting on the WebEx platform as well.
Mm.
So we'll
Mr. Dexter Roberts?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be monitoring the office email to see if I get anything.
Okay. I'll do the same. I know last time during the meeting he was emailing me to get on and he couldn't get in, but so far I haven't seen anything yet.
Hi, Khalid.
Hi, Ms. Lewis. All right, Melanie, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Good to see you.
Yeah.
All right, we'll give it 2 more minutes, and then we'll start the conversation with this crew. Perhaps not with a quorum, but we'll have some useful conversation nonetheless.
Great. Great. Is it usually on a Wednesday or?
It's usually supposed to be the second Tuesday of every month. So it was originally scheduled for last week Tuesday, and then we had to kind of move ahead between Veterans Day and other meetings going on. This is the first available opportunity.
Okay. And it is usually at 7 o'clock?
It's usually at 7 o'clock. Yeah. So it's scheduled for 7 to 9. I think 7 to 8:30 is probably more appropriate. We can keep our meetings focused. And then, depending on what work the committee decides on, obviously in a COVID world, it's a little hard, right? To get a sense of what we're able to do.
Mm-hmm.
All right. 1 more minute for folks to sign on. And if not, we're just going to get moving. Khalid, do you have some guidance in terms of protocol if you don't meet quorum during a meeting?
So when it comes to meetings, you only need quorum if you are voting on items that you definitely want to have the executive board and the full general board to review or have input in. But you don't need quorum if you're just discussing matters or such. And when it comes to planning, you can also have a discussion on planning for events and anything like that. But if it's a voting item, that's where you need quorum.
Right. Okay.
Right. Other than that, any information that you create or material that you guys come upon, of course, you would note that in the minutes, and members who weren't available, you can always just forward it to them.
Great. All right. It's 7:16. Let's call this meeting to order with a handful of people in attendance. If we can just start quickly by going around, just based on last meeting as well. I would like to ask everybody to quickly introduce themselves and also indicate how they would like to be referred to. Everybody has preferences. I made that mistake last week to assume that everybody is as casual as I am. And I shouldn't assume that. So again, my name is Riel. I'm the executive director of Trailblazers, a local youth services provider, and I've been on the board for I'm going to say 5 years now. In my 5th year, I can't really remember. It's been quite some time. I've hosted and chaired. I've been on the youth committee and education committee in the past. I've chaired the EDC, Economic Development Committee, year, and was asked to head up this committee this year. A pleasure to do so, and happy to be here again. So I'll pass it on to Melanie.
Hello, everyone. My name is Melanie Lewis, and I'm born and raised in Colonel. This is my first time on the Education and Library Committee, and I work in higher education. And I have this where I've actually called Threshold World, where I've actually been encouraging college students during this time, where many are a certain way about having to be remote and paying that. Called Threshold World, and it can be found on YouTube. Threshold World College Edition.
Happy to have you. Thanks for joining today. Ms. Wolseley.
Hi, good evening, everyone. There's a problem with my computer that I'm using, so I am not able to turn on my camera. So apologies for that. The next meeting, I will be able to turn on my camera because I should get my new computer by then.
Nice.
Let's see. My name is Lorianne Wolseley, and I have been on the board for about 2 years. currently, I work for the Department of Education. I am an attorney. I also work in higher education. I'm a professor. As to what I would like to do for the board, wherever the board sees fit, that there's a need, I would definitely like to help. So I can't say exclusively like, oh, I only want to work on one project. Wherever there's a need, I would want to help.
Great.
That's it.
Ms. Wolsey, by Ms. Wolsey or Lorianne, what would you?
Lorianne and she. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Ms. Farrell?
Hi, my name is Demetria Farrow. I've been living in this community for about 49 years. I work for the Department of Education. I am an English teacher. I have been working for the DOE for 22 years, and I'm just here to support the education community board in any way that I can.
By Ms. Farrow, Demetria. What would you prefer, Ms. Farrow or Demetria?
You can call me Demetria, that's fine.
Okay, great. Welcome, everybody. That's a lot of educators. I actually was a high school teacher for many, many years, and an educational major. So it's we're all in good educational company, it seems. That's great. So we have minutes from the prior meeting that we're going to table for vote until next meeting. We have a quorum. Is everybody able to engage with the Google Doc that I created for to see the pending agenda or minutes? Is that functional for you?
It's an email, or is it in a chat?
It is a, let me throw it in the chat right now. It is, so it's a running Google document that you, give me 1 second. I'll put it in the chat this moment. Next time when you get the email, 1 second, there we go. You'll be able to, it'll be in there as well. So if you bookmark this document, you'll be able to get to prior meeting minutes. It'll also be used on a rolling basis to prepare an agenda for the next meeting. So you can just indicate your own additions to the agenda. And then typically a few days before the meeting, I'll just, finish up the agenda and send it to the community board for, for distribution.
Awesome, thanks.
Okay. On that note, I would like to suggest or ask that we take turns taking minutes during these meetings. I'll take care of it today, and then perhaps at the beginning of each meeting, somebody can indicate or raise their hand for the next meeting. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Does anybody want to raise their hand for the December meeting?
What date is that?
Oh, we just had somebody join. Great.
I'll raise my hand for the January meeting to take notes for then. I want to see how it's done. I'm very wordy, and I don't want the meeting minutes to be 5 pages or 10 pages when it should really be 1 or 2. So after I see a sample, I'll definitely do it.
Sure. That's Lorianne, right?
Of course. Very wordy Lorianne or Lori.
Okay. Yeah, they can definitely be succinct.
Yeah, I can. If no one volunteered for the December, I can do the December. No problem.
Sorry, is that Melanie?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, this is the WebEx issue. I can't always see who's talking because it doesn't switch to the person who's talking. But that I think is just a my tech issue. I need a different computer for this. Great. We have Mr. Almanor joined.
Yes, thank you.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How
Good.
are you?
Good. Can you quickly introduce yourself, sir?
Yes, my name is Nicholas Almanor. I'm a recent appointed to CB9. I hired from New York City Department of Education as a chemistry teacher this month, November 1st. So I've been doing education for close to 35 years.
That's fantastic. Did you say you recently signed to the board?
Yes. Yeah, this is my first year.
Okay, and were you assigned to because I didn't have you on the
I'm not assigned to the education committee. I'm from Virtual Parks, but in trying to understand CB9, I've been going to a lot of the meetings to get a sense of how this community board operates.
Great. So you are joining us.
So I've been going to different ones. Yeah.
Great. So you're joining us as a guest today, sir?
For the last 35 years, both in chemistry and IT and technology. So I think I could.
Great.
If I can do any contribution to the education community, actually. So having been experienced from local school here, Prospect before it was Prospect campus, Brooklyn Technical High School, and home instruction. So I have seen a broad view of the New York City Department of Education.
That's great. So you'll join as a guest today. Mr. Albanoy, do you prefer to go by Nick or by your last name?
Oh, call me Nick. Nick, I prefer Nick.
Okay, good. Thank you, Nick. Thank you for joining today. So, so if in the event that we have a larger number of guests, we'll keep a public comment to the end of the meeting. But since that's not the case, Nick, you should feel free just to participate in the conversation as it rolls on. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Great. So again, we've had guests under introduction. We are tabling the minutes from the prior meeting. We have minute takers for December and January. So that is great. Thank you very much. Let's move on to a brief chairperson's report. I think I wanted to do that at the beginning of the meeting so that if there's any things that we need to discuss at length, and we can dive in there right away. I don't have a whole lot. I would ask each one of you, if you have recommendations for the committee or for myself in terms of any lists or any groups I should follow outside of obviously CB9 and CEC 17, then I'm happy to take some of those recommendations to help me stay kind of abreast of what is going on in the area. Some obvious big tickets items in the moment. I've been involved in a number of conversations over the last couple of weeks around the issues in schooling and enrollment in schools. I don't think we have currently enrollment data specifically for CB9, but it does appear that across the network, enrollment has really been dropping, and I imagine that's no different from CB9. And so I know of schools who report only about a third of students who are actually enrolled, while the other 2/3 have chosen to stay remote, and that seems to skew towards the kinds of populations that the city at least suggests, working parents, that the city suggests needs the service more than ever. That's why they pushed for opening. That's why they pushed for learning labs. But even the learning labs after school and remote support learning, I'm told, are very under-enrolled. And so I think we're facing the city at large faces a really pretty terrible situation with schools being open, not having the enrollment that they expected, large groups of students opting to stay remote, and families not really participating in the Learning Bridges offsite learning opportunities either. I say that because I think the expectation should be that the long-term learning effects of this are going to be, in my view, going to be pretty challenging and pretty serious. And I think that can kind of shape what we want to do, what a committee wants to do in terms of supporting the local community, not only in the next couple of weeks or months, but in the next couple of years as we kind of bounce back from this period. Of course, there's some DOE folks on the call. I'm not sure whether you were close to the fire in the last couple of hours. The school closure, so the schools are closing again. I think and anybody that has additional information, I'd love to hear it. I only have the information that I get as a parent at this point, that schools are closed until further notice. And again, I think it is a kind of an additional curveball, and yet another curveball that is thrown at parents that makes it very difficult to get some order back in your life. And so again, perhaps something that can inform what we decide to do. And a final comment, my organization and a number of organizations in the area have been pushing the local council members, particularly on the issue of after-school service. We mean in-building service. This obviously is a little bit of a moot point because currently, the buildings are closed. But we have advocated and spoken with local council members and local politicians about the permitting issue, where the DOE has tripled permitting fees for local after-school programs. That's something that the Daily News ran an article on. New York One ran a report on it on their nightly news a couple of days ago, and I'm told by a local after-school advocacy group that a number of council members around the city are now starting to pick up the issue. The office of Senator Myrie has also let me know that they are picking up the issue and are writing Chancellor Carranza to get an explanation why the permit fee was hiked to the degree that many after-school providers simply cannot run. Adding an additional roadblock for parents who really need more than just having their kids to be in school from 9 to 2. It's simply not sufficient. Any comments or any questions about any of those things?
Just greed comes to my mind, and I just had to let it out. It's all it is. I just can't stand it. A coworker in the space told me recently, and this predates my time, that there was a time where the city's take on this was that any time after school, 3 to 6 should not include charges. They really tried to clear the way for providers to be able to do that. That's long gone. So the permit charges, even in a regular year, can be quite steep for organizations. Mm-hmm. And I certainly would agree that greed and plugging budget holes over the backs of the small community organizations ends up, in my view, is part of it. And I think Chancellor Carranza essentially admitted as much in a CEC meeting recently that he had no choice. That the budget deficits are so severe that he had no choice. The irony is that if you charge those rates, programs cannot run at all, and now you get zero. Right now you get nothing, and so it's counterproductive. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Anybody else?
I have a question. For our community board, how many beacon programs that are still in existence? I know of one at Winthrop campus. Is there anywhere else? That's the closest I know. Are there any within Community Board 9? This was a program started under David Dinkins.
It's a good question. I know, I think Beacon as a program, my understanding has been discontinued as kind of an ongoing thing, but there are many beacons that continue to be funded. I don't know of any in CB9 outside the one you mentioned.
Yeah, even when I had my kids in Beacon, they were going to a Beacon program in Community Board 8, and I pulled them out of there real fast. So, but that was my personal, yeah.
Yeah, I mean the Beacon. I think all of those programs, right? There's the Beacon programs now. There's Cornerstone programs that are city funded. There are Compass after school programs and Sonic after school programs city funded. Every single one of those, I think we should anticipate, are going to be under significant pressure. and as you know, as the city is going to face overall budget crunches. I certainly, you know, I don't feel confident that a lot of those programs are going to continue to be funded at the same levels in the same way. You know, I know for a fact there's lots of after-school providers now who receive these kinds of funds who are currently held accountable to the regular enrollment criteria, which is, of course, you know, insanity, right? There are no kids in school, and you're still expected to meet the same enrollment metrics. And the fear is that you know, that the DYCD will use enrollment shortfalls to eventually justify pulling your program, right? You weren't able to meet the metrics, and therefore you cannot continue as a provider. You know, I think these are the kinds of issues that I think we just need to keep our ear to the ground on, so we can participate in those conversations, because, you know, that's going to be next year. I think it's, you know, at the local to CC levels when that starts to happen. But I'm sure, you know, those are issues that CB9 is going to face as well. Anybody else has any comments on either the school closures, the permitting issues, or any of the enrollment issues in the system?
I guess I have a question. Do they see enrollment as an issue within the schools? Was that an issue that like many parents decided to go remote, or that's just for numbers' sake?
Yeah, I think that I think it's an issue mostly from a budget perspective. That's my sense, right? That it is extremely expensive to operate the full system for significantly lower number of kids, and so I think that ultimately will matter. And it was also just not anticipated. And I think, you know, the emphasis of school opening had plenty to do with, you know, the notion that the city wanted to support working families, right? But the enrollments are the lowest in the low income neighborhoods. I think, you know, and I don't have the exact answer for that, but I think some of that might be just rightful distrust of the system, or just, perhaps unemployment issues, and, you know, you can keep your kid at home, or whatever the case may be. But the reality is that when the city then prioritizes these support centers in the same neighborhoods, and we were told as a provider as well that initially the centers will be prioritized in the low income neighborhoods, and then you find out that the center is actually sitting empty. You know, a lot of the providers say we don't have the enrollment. You know, it's because the same reason that families are in fact choosing not to send their kids in, for, you know, I think probably for a variety of reasons. Let me pause one moment. We have Ms. Rosario, is that correct, joining? Would you mind introducing yourself for a moment?
Hi, everyone. Sorry for being late. Today is a busy community board day. There are 3 virtual board meetings happening today. So I'm glad to be here today. So my name is Nyla Rosario with Brooklyn Public Library, and I can give a library update if needed. I don't have the agenda in front of me, so I'm sorry. Don't know where you guys are.
I'll put the agenda in the chat as well for everybody to follow. Ms. Rosario, feel free to let me know what your kind of timing is. If there's other meetings to hop to, we're happy to, you know,
lucky for you guys, the last meeting of the day, so it's we'll follow your agenda.
So welcome then. I'll paste the agenda in the chat. All right, give me 1 second. That doesn't quite follow the numbering. Oh, that's not ideal formatting, but here we go. All right, so that concludes my report. The open action items, our next item on the list, we had 2 items under that agenda point. One was reviewing our priority list. We can actually leave that for the discussion in number 4, discussing which projects we want to take on. And the second item was a needs assessment for the principals in the community that we discussed last week. So that is something that we can spend some time on, although Beverly Newsom was the member who had indicated she was going to take a lead on that, and she is not on the call today. So we could certainly just wait for her follow-up on that as well. Okay, so so let's move forward to number 4. Any discussion items? A number of discussion items for the committee tonight. Dr. Adolphine from the committee had suggested that we would speak a little bit or have a conversation about the decision-making process of this committee. Whenever there are things to be done or decisions to be made, whether they're votes or not, how we would approach that as a committee. I do think that's the kind of thing that we would need a larger presence for, but perhaps we can spend a few moments thinking through how you as committee members would like to engage with each other on, when a particular item needs to be decided on, or whether it needs to be decided on who's going to take care of it, how we should engage with each other on making decisions.
There usually a vote, or is this something, are you looking for something else?
I mean, I think that's part of the conversation, how we want that done, right? Is it the first person who raises their hand on an item? Is it a discussion? Is it a vote? How do we want to approach those kinds of things? Does anybody have any ideas on how to do that, or what would be comfortable?
I guess what I'm thinking is usually within a group is usually folks that are point persons for specific things. So I guess like when there's some type of idea or project, usually that particular person, the persons that would handle specific things would be the ones that would be like the point person on that particular issue. So like, I don't know if within the committee, like if there's a specific type of person that handles different things, if that's already something that's in place, or if that's something that needs to be in place, or how that works on the committee board.
Okay. That's not in place, and so also for your information, it's only the second meeting, so a lot of this is to be developed now. The education committee has also been inactive for a while, so none of this has been set up.
Okay.
Does anybody else have anything to contribute to this?
I was thinking the same thing, to appoint people for various tasks, but also to, what do you guys think about forming subcommittees for each project, or for each division, or each task that we feel is important, and those subcommittees can work on those tasks?
I think so. I think that makes
people can choose the committee that they are interested in working on.
I like that idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'd suggest that a subcommittee then has somebody who acknowledges the lead for that subtask, and so so it's clear who's going to take the charge.
Mm-hmm.
Are there particular, aside from subcommittee, particular kind of topics that perhaps we can think of that we may be able to assign people to. I think that's an interesting idea, right? To say, well, everything after school related is this person, everything CC17 related is this person, and so forth. Was that Melanie? Was that along the lines you were thinking?
I mean, that sounds good. I was just thinking of traditional secretary.
Oh,
I don't know if those type of things. I was thinking the traditional route, but I think that's a great idea. I mean, I know we have different folks from DOE, and then we have higher education. So I'm definitely maybe we can do it like that as well. So no, that's open.
Yeah, I think that could be interesting also in terms of kind of spreading the workload in terms of who's going to kind of spend their time paying attention to one specific thing, right? It's difficult for any one person to hear about everything. And so
Sure.
I can certainly think of, certainly CE17, it just by itself is a topic. After school by itself is a topic. Certainly library, I'd say, is a topic. What else kind of larger topics could we imagine?
I was wanted to talk about how about the interaction between the youth committee and the education committee. There seems to be the same kind of audience or target audience. Having participated in the meeting of the youth committee, I know they have youth speaker they're scheduling for next month. How much involvement does the education committee is involved or aware of it?
Yeah, I think the youth committee and the chair Primo had some brief conversation with him. I think Chairman Baptiste's intention is that in the long run, the education committee and the youth committee will merge together again, as as it is the case mostly in most other community boards. Currently, I think the way the work breaks out, that the youth committee seems to focus largely on an older set of kids, so they're more focused on high school and up, including early job opportunities and job training, those kinds of things. And it seems to be kind of a fairly natural break that the education committee concerns more with the elementary or the younger, the pre-K and the elementary ages. But I think it does definitely make sense to have a youth and education liaison, perhaps as well, one of the board members that focuses on that. Are there other main topics that we could imagine? Okay. Well, certainly, I think that's some good structure to give everybody something to put their their energy into. How about we leave it at these four for the moment? It's also entirely possible that it's one topic has more than one person assigned to it, who's then kind of assigned to it, monitoring that in the community and finding the proper listservs or kind of news channels to be on, and having their ear to the ground for that particular topic. So why don't we give it some more thought on what additional topics we need, and meanwhile, I'll distribute this to the rest of the committee as well. Everybody can give some thought to which particular topic is of interest to them, and then by next meeting we can make sure everybody has their assignment so they can start their their listening tour. How does that sound? All right. So, you know what? I'll add one right now because we'll discuss in a moment. We can discuss it in a moment. Social media. All right. Let's move on to next discussion item. A project that we very briefly started to talk about, and that Dimitri. Beverly joined us. Hey, Beverly. That Demetria has launched in a really great way already. So, Dimitri, would you mind speaking about this?
Okay, so I was able to get some donations. So I got about 400 books from an organization that I wrote a short little application, kind of like a small mini grant. And they gave us about 400 books, which I dropped off to the office. I was able to get some bookmarks donated and some literacy pins for the clothes as well. And so I was thinking about how we can distribute those books in our community, especially during a time where now, as of today, the schools are closed. We are 100% remote, and I think children really need the books. So I was trying to find a way to distribute the books in the community. I know that the cases are on the rise, so it would have to be something done outdoors. It's getting a little bit cold. I wanted to find out if we could do it before it gets too cold to be outside and find a location in the community where the books or a way to get those books out to the children. I'm not really sure how we can do that. I wanted to try to get some ideas as to how we could get those books out to the children. And also, I received an email today saying that more books are available and I can apply and get more books. But first, I want to find out come up with a plan as to how we can distribute the books to the community and have the kids start using the books, taking advantage of them. So what do you guys think in terms of a way? It's starting to get a little bit cold, but we still have some pretty good days. Schools, yes, schools are closed as of today, 100%. Okay, but when I say schools are closed, okay.
I know some after school programs didn't fully close because they're still essential workers.
Yeah. So
Dropping off their
the Learning Bridges centers are not closed, and the after-school providers also have not been ordered closed. So there's going to be local after-school providers who will just continue service or perhaps even expand service, as long as the schools close. Of course, we don't know how long the schools, or at least the in-person portion, will be on hold, right?
I think it's until November 30th. That's that's not like written in stone, but that's the plan. So till November 30th. But I don't think it would open back up before. This is just me thinking things through. I don't think it would open back up before Christmas or New Year's because it just doesn't seem. I don't know. I just think the numbers will continue to go up. And this is not me speaking as a representative of the DOE. It's just me thinking logically. So
yeah, I think the question will be whether I would agree that the numbers will probably continue to go up, and if the school closing metric continues to be linked in that same way at the 3%, then you're probably right. The question is whether the city will reconsider how they use that metric, right? Certainly, the governor suggested that the city should consider the very low testing rate, right? This in-school testing rate, because I think the in-school testing rate is something like 0.6%, something along those lines. So nowhere near the 3% citywide, which seems to suggest that the schools are not the problem, for this, and are not the ones that drive this spike. But But certainly, I mean, if you're right and the schools stay closed for that long, all the way to the beginning of the new year or Christmas, then I would agree that perhaps using the buildings as a distribution point could be an interesting way to go.
Okay, so I guess we would have to decide what building, what location, and exactly when and what time. We would have to be in touch with someone in that building to choose the location.
Yeah, my guess is it's going to have to be it's going to have to go through the principal, right? The principal to sign off on. I can only speak from experience from my own kids' school, who are there in the New American Academy, and they are and so they do have distribution of certain things, right, of learning packs or books, so that is a thing where there can be kind of a remote distribution of things. And I imagine that if we write the principals and say, hey, we would like to do a book distribution, remote distribution at your school in the next few weeks, can you help us set that up? I can't imagine they'd say no to that.
Okay.
Another possibility is maybe, I don't know of any shelters in this area, but checking out the shelters, because I'm sure there's a need for books in shelters.
It's a good idea.
The one on Rogers.
Yeah, which is the one on Rogers, and was that Rogers and Crown? Is that
Yes,
still?
that's
Yeah.
a family shelter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
It's a good idea too. Is there any logic to trying to link this up with kind of holiday giving? Christmas is around the corner.
Demetria.
Nice.
Demetria, is it Demetria?
Demetria.
Demetria, the donations that you received, was it for the purpose of buying books? Or it was the $300 or almost $300 for what purpose to be used? What purpose was it to be used?
I received about 400 books. They are free. Everything is free and to be distributed to the community. So how I wrote the grant was, the application, you should say, is that the community, the children in our community are in need of books and exposure to literature. And so the books are to be given out we have books for K through 12, K to 12. Some of the books are brand new and some are gently used.
Okay.
We have about 100 bookmarks, and then we have about 25 pins for the clothes. There are books, an open book with some pins to give out as well. If you want to do like a holiday distribution, maybe at a shelter or school, that could be nice. If you want me to get more books, I got an email from them today. I can get more books. All they ask is that I take some pictures and give them a small write-up as to how the books were shared with the community.
Demetria, who's the organization that is giving out the books?
It's called Book Fairies. They're located in Freeport. Yeah, Freeport, Long Island.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That is really great.
Yeah, Book Fairies.
I am on the board for the junior board for Canva, and they're doing a toy drive. So I don't know if Canva is actually, I know they have an office on Church Avenue, Church and I think Flatbush or around there. Mm-hmm. So yeah. I don't know if we want to reach out with them and see who are they working with for that toy drive, because maybe we can give out books with the while they're giving out the toys as well. I'm just thinking of how can we reach children during this shutdown, because we're about to go, I believe we're going into another shutdown.
We want to try to give out the books before the complete shutdown.
Yeah, that would be ideal.
I think
Yeah,
a lot of kids on, a lot of children already learning remotely. Limited access to books, learning, except what they get online with their school.
Yeah, I mean, if the concern, go ahead.
No, you can finish. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, I think as far as access goes, because even in the shutdown, right, the buildings were open, right? Because people go in for lunches, for free and reduced lunch programs, and for distribution of books and learning materials. And so, I think for a lot of families, I think a lot of families are in walking distance of their school, right? And if the school would promote a book drive, or I guess you'd have to think through a little bit how to ensure that it's a socially distanced approach to it. But I think that might be the easiest way to actually reach the kids, because I don't know, like I don't know how Canva's doing, but I just broadly all those providers I think are struggling to reach their audience at the moment.
Can we think about? I know we're bracing for closing down, but the holidays are coming, and if we partner with giving away toys, can't we turn that into a holiday event? Like, we're giving away books, we're giving away toys, have a Santa there, and they're doing distance. I want Santa to bring me this, and maintaining physical distancing, but it'll be a moment of levity for the kids and the parents, or something that is not realistic now. Hello?
Yeah, I mean, I really like the idea of a holiday event. I certainly think there's a whole bunch of kind of practical, concerns perhaps, but I think considering, the misery of it all, right, at the moment.
That's what I mean, right?
Yeah.
We've had 6 months of don't touch, don't hug, Thanksgiving, no that, I mean, I don't know. I was just thinking. People wear their masks, people don't touch.
Is anybody on the committee aware of any kind of economic development committee work around kind of shop local initiatives, anything like that?
No, I'm not aware.
And the reason I ask is because a few years ago, in a number of years, that the EDC would kind of have local tables and promote local businesses, and obviously, it's a bit trickier now. But stores are open, because that wouldn't work if the stores would shut down. But I could imagine distribution points, and turning into something more festive and spread it out enough so you don't have the kind of practical concern of having larger groups gather. Well, I mean, what do you think, Demetria? I would recommend we try to, just come up with a plan that we then organize around. We at least kind of, pick an approach today that we can all agree on and organize ourselves around it.
Yeah,
This could be one of the subcommittees, right?
Right. This could be one of the subcommittees, I guess, under library, since it's connected to books and literacy. And I was taking notes on distribution points that were all mentioned, and all of them sound pretty good.
What did you have in mind, Demetria?
I was thinking maybe do like an outdoor because of the virus that's going on. I was thinking maybe outdoor with a tent, a community board 9 tent, someplace like Eastern Parkway and Nostrand on a Saturday morning, or the farmers market at Grand Army Plaza by the library. I was thinking one of those locations, choose a location and give the books out.
Yeah. By the way, I do think that both of those locations are outside of CB9. If
Oh,
I'm
they're
not,
outside. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
Eastern Parkway, and then somebody please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that crosses into CB8. From the
Okay.
Grand Army.
Library.
I
The
know
Central
Grand
Library
Army
is part of Community
Plaza.
Board 9. Yeah. Yeah. So the Central Library is,
Library is a part of Board 9.
yes, Central Library is Community Board 9.
Maybe we could use like steps of Grand Army Plaza or somewhere.
How about
they
how about
have
the
it
plaza
in
in front of the
library.
library? Is that something the library would allow us to do in front of the central library?
Yeah, of course. Just let me know when you're thinking of doing it, and we could definitely make arrangements to use it. It's not a problem.
And the reason why I said the that location also is because the farmers market is pretty busy. There's a lot of people on Saturday mornings. So I was thinking probably have a lot of people that you can give the books out to. I'm not sure. What do you guys think?
Yeah, if I can be a little selfish, the farmers market, I think will, and in a way, the central library, right, that's the edge of the district, and so if the intention would be to give out the books to people in the district, then that's perhaps not the greatest location, given some more thought, because the farmers market is going to be attended by folks from Crown Heights, folks from Park Slope, right? It draws from a much larger geographical area, and if the intention would be to really serve the CB9 community, we probably should look for a more central spot.
Mm-hmm. What about Maple Street, the library on Maple and what is that, New York Avenue?
Does that get a lot of traffic?
After school, it used to be pretty busy after school. I'm not sure what's happening now with the pandemic, but it's usually busy after school.
Our library's open. I actually don't even know.
I think to pick up book. Oh, we have someone who's a specialist.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Yes, I can give an update on the library. So we have some locations that are open for grab and go service. We are not open to the public, but we do have lobby service in some cases. But we have also done a lot of projects where we partner with folks, and we provided tables in front of the library if that is something that you guys are looking into.
Hi guys.
Hello.
Give me. I just wanted to find out something. This is Dexter speaking. Is Community Board 9 a part of, let me say, Bedford Avenue, and let me say like Krong Street?
You mean like Mega Evers?
Yeah.
Mega Evers, okay.
What has happened? I don't have the exact date, but today we did a community food drive. The college did that for the community itself, and we went in Ebbetsfield and we gave out over 200 hampers today. So actually, I'm in charge of doing a holiday toy giveaway in December. I don't have my calendar here with me because I am in my room. I just came in from doing a hand surgery, so I just get into the house a few minutes ago, so I don't have my calendar with me. But we are doing a toy drive, and I don't know if you would like to probably call up, because what we are doing it out for the public. So even though we're doing a toy drive with the college, we are not doing it for this college itself. We are doing it for the community. So I don't know if you probably would like to collaborate, and we can also be doing a toy drive and book drive in one. That could have been probably serve the community, because it's out the people in Ebbetsfield. We normally carry flyers out there and we advertise with those individuals, like with the churches on the people on Sullivan and all those areas. So I don't know if there's something that you would consider, and if so, I can probably have a better dialogue with you on tomorrow, please God, or another day.
That sounds good. That's a good location. I know Mega Everest is pretty busy.
Yes, we have. I were very surprised. Like, we planned this, and we got. We actually got help Metro Plus to actually sponsor us. So I was out of my house this morning since probably 6 o'clock, like setting up the stuff. We did it outdoor, and we had social distancing. Everything was all outdoor, and it was really. I was surprised that there was so many people within the community that came out. So I'm thinking that probably we are doing. I don't have the exact date on my hand. I know it's either the 10th or probably the 15th of December, somewhere there. I don't remember the exact date, but I think that could be a good thing also, where you could also probably come out, put your tent out, and we could be visible, that kind of stuff. So you have like your own table where you share the books. So what we are doing, like, people comes in, they get their toy, then they come with the kids, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Sounds good to me. What do you guys think?
Mr. Roberts, could you repeat that location?
The locality actually would be on Bedford and between Krong and Carroll, but literally we still working out the fine details of the locality. If I probably is able to get a space back in Ebbetsfield, I think we probably may even do that again. I'm not sure, but I know for sure that area is our area, the campus area is ours. We have control over it. But if we were able to get based on what we saw today, we realized that the community, we didn't want to do it for the students on campus. We wanted to reach out to the community, and we did that, and it was really great.
Great. Mr. Roberts, would you mind taking a moment to introduce yourself, since we didn't have the pleasure to hear from you?
Sorry. Okay, so my name is Dexter Roberts, and I am one of your new members to the board. I was former student government president of Mega Everest College, so I kind of know how to get in touch with people and reach people. I am in my final semester for my master's, and I don't even know what to say. I'm just excited to be here, and I'm so sorry. What happened the last time? I couldn't get connected because it was WebEx, and I was at home again, so I was trying to use my phone and I couldn't get connected. The same thing happened to me earlier on tonight, and I thought we was going to be using Zoom, but I realized we with the WebEx. But I'm really happy to serve. It's my first time around serving actually community itself. I served the campus for 2 years as president. I served the Senate 24 campuses throughout New York City, all of CUNY, as vice chair of Graduate Affairs. My term has just ended last week. I was vice chair of Graduate Affairs, and I served in 2016 as vice chair of Disability Affairs. So it means that I know how to do indoor work. I have never done big stuff in the community, but I'm willing to learn, and I'm willing to help you guys in anything that I could do.
Great, thank you very much. Mr. Roberts, do you prefer to go by Mr. Roberts or Dexter?
Anyone is all cool. If you call me Dexter, I'll feel he's my cousin. So that would be nice. If you call me Dexter, I'll just answer you. But if you say Dexter, I'll just think that we are family.
Beverly, would you like to introduce yourself? Not sure if Beverly is still on.
This is Nicholas Armono. I just wanted to make a suggestion for the future. Being part of the parks committee, there are a few parks within our district. I know the park, the IPS 92 on Winthrop between Bedford and Rogers, or any of the other parks within the district. And I think working in combination with the parks committee, we could find out a location to some of those activities.
Okay. It's a great suggestion. Should we, does it make sense to move this to a subcommittee to further work on the details for this? I think, are we comfortable with the notion that this should get done in the next couple of weeks as a end of year project, perhaps in collaboration or in relation to the holiday season?
I agree.
Riel,
I agree.
I have a question before. When you said, well, I'm not clear. I came late. So when you say this, what are we talking?
Yeah, Demetria was able to secure 400 plus books from an organization called the Book Fairies, and so we've been
Right.
talking about ways to distribute these
Places.
books. Yeah, that's just really wonderful.
Thank
And
you.
by the way, Demetria, if you need, I'm happy to help because if they're looking to give away more books, I say let's get all of them. Yeah,
Okay.
there's always need, and I can help next time as well for pickup or anything like that. So who
Do you know what
should
that's
we?
going to look? Sorry, Riel. So we're
That's
talking
okay.
about what is that going to look like, or when it's going to happen? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, I think we did talk through a number of different options. I think next steps are to form a subcommittee who will, my recommendation will be we'll form a subcommittee and then have that subcommittee get back to the full committee by the next meeting with plans for distribution.
Oh, okay.
Demetria, should I assume that you are on that subcommittee?
Yes. Yes.
Is it any, who's interested in joining her?
Could I volunteer?
Yes,
Demetria, can you add me as well? This is Lorianne.
Lorianne, Mr. Roberts, great. Okay, so we'll put that under the library theme. So, and for our members who joined us a little later, we discussed earlier in the meeting that aside from subcommittees for specific projects, we also should think through specific topics that we then assign to members to kind of track and follow in the area or in the neighborhood or in the community. So, for example, you may be assigned to CEC 17, and that it becomes kind of your thing to keep your ears to the ground on and follow the email listings, etc. So we have each of our members, listening in on certain education-related items in the community. And so I'm listing these in the minutes. We'll have some committees formed today, but in the December meeting, we can finalize what those committees and topics should be, and then you'll have an opportunity to think through what you find interesting following. And so far, the list of those topics are CEC 17, after school library. And so we just added Demetria, Mr. Roberts, and Lorianne to that. The other topics are the youth and education liaison of CB9. So perhaps social media, something we can discuss, a potential Richardson liaison, because they used to have an education committee and a CB8 liaison. So those are some specific roles or, themes that people could, choose or specialize in. Okay, Demetria, should we leave it at this? Does that make sense for you to pick it up with your committee, with your subcommittee members?
Yes, it sounds good. It's a good start.
Yeah, I think that's great, and obviously communicate with other committee members if you need additional hands, and I certainly offer my help any moment if you need help in getting more books or picking up more books or unloading them at the office. Let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so let's move on to the next topic. I think one of the things that we started to discuss at the last meeting was give me 1 second, just looking for my list, for the kinds of things that we wanted to be engaged in with this committee for the year. And so this the book distribution project is obviously the first one, and there were a number of other topics discussed. I'll throw them in the chat for everybody to see. And so perhaps some of these are already mentioned, but I think what I'd like to discuss with the group is first the kind of schedule that we imagine for ourselves, and then perhaps try to pin down more specific projects that we want to prepare, over the course of the year. I know, for example, that the youth committee has committed themselves to an event of some kind per month. I personally think that is very ambitious, in current busy life. But I think that's something that I'd like this committee to discuss. So how do we see ourselves engage on kind of what, cadence over the year, and then perhaps we can, start filling in some of those themes for this year. And if you look in the chat, you'll see what some of the suggested topics were. Focusing on after-school services and after-school permitting and after-school access, info sessions on the specialized high school or GAT entry, a book drive we've of course talked about, a spelling bee, an adult literacy training to help with remote learning, a discussion on how the library can support education today, tutoring services, a principals event. Liaising with local officials is something we briefly mentioned, and a need assessment as a kind of starting point for all of these items. Beverly, perhaps do you want to? Is there anything to talk about as far as need assessments? I think you and I were supposed to do some work on that. That hasn't quite started yet. Do you have anything to offer on that?
Not outside of what I put in the Google document, because I was curious what schools need, I think, and what libraries need. So can't they be partners? And hopefully you and I can talk about that, because that now that we're being closed down, that means we're going to have to look at another way to do it.
To do what? The needs assessment?
Yeah.
Well,
I think so.
Well, I imagine it was going to be over email, no?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, in principle.
Let me know when you're ready.
Okay. So what other topics do we feel we want to add to the calendar and commit to as a committee? Anybody see anything that they find particularly interested? Oh, I did not hit enter yet in the chat. Now you see them. Sorry about that.
Oh, I was wondering.
Yeah. Then the chat now. So in my 2 cents, there are many there. The need is going to be endless, and I do think there's value in having a needs assessment. I also think that a fairly or perhaps an interesting take is to focus on things that can bring some levity. To Beverly's point earlier, right? It's going to be tough the rest of the year. This remote learning will not disappear for the rest of the school year. It's going to be an ongoing challenge. I think there are a lot of services in place, and schools are working very hard. I certainly can attest to that from our own school to support families the best they can. But I personally really like the idea of a spelling bee. To have something that is education related, but that can engage the community and just perhaps is a little bit more lighthearted. That can be done socially distanced. That can be done remotely. There are great platforms that can manage these kinds of things.
So we would reach out to all the schools, and a kid would be on Zoom or something like that.
Yeah.
And when their turn came, I like that.
Yeah, I mean, I've never organized a spelling bee, but I thought the idea, I thought about that as it was after it was mentioned last time. I thought that'd be really, fun and innovative, just to try and do a spelling bee. There you go, a virtual spelling bee, Dimitri. You're right.
And it puts kids' minds on something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when did you want to have that?
Well, if that's something, I'd say if the committee is that something that we want to commit to, I think that we can decide on both timeline on and which subcommittee would lend itself to that. Whose idea was this? A spelling bee? Was this somebody on this group? No, it wasn't my idea. It was Dimitri. Just watch out, Dimitri. You'll be in every subcommittee.
May I ask what is SHAT?
Specialized High School Assessment.
Oh, that's the acronym.
Well, the admission test. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Also think it's I actually personally also think that's a great idea.
A question about the HSST. Can you please, I must have missed it. What is it about the HSST you like to talk about? I mean, are you trying to get more students within the district to take the test?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure who suggested. Is there somebody on the call today that suggested that? I can certainly share my limited knowledge on it, but
I used to teach at Brooklyn Tech High School for over 4 years. Something I might be interested in, and I did try with an organization do some free preparation because there's all kind of paid preparation from Kaplan on down. This is something that I was interested in, having worked at one of the specialized high school and see the disparity. There's a disparity in the HSST. I'm sure you guys are aware of it. It's been discussed in the media for the last couple of years. I think that's a good idea if you do that, because in my experience, there are two things why the diversity in the specialized high school, be it Brooklyn Tech, Stuyvesant, Bronx Science, and so on, is because it's a lack of preparation and lack of information that parents don't have early on.
That's right.
We want to tackle that basically, because some students get started preparing on the third or the fourth grade, and most of the students in our community, and so in communities similar to CB9, they usually will find out when they get to junior high school. And that explains somewhat the the unbalance that you have. I think it's a good topic for this committee to look into. I don't mind helping in that area, having experienced it. I've practiced HSSC exam. I've worked with a group of people to put together a preparation program before a few years ago. Actually, we're going to do it with Medgar Evers College when we're back. But what we had found is that A, parents were not aware. B, a lot of them were not interested. They were just content enough to get their kids to the neighborhood school. But having the opportunity to get your kid into one of those schools opens a lot of opportunities, same as if you get your kid into a Ivy League. That makes a big difference. And also the Ivy League, that's where they strongly recruit their kids. So this is something we should, that the community board can look into, and you could get started as early as some of the other communities that start early usually. Otherwise, they start paying for it early, some parents. So I think that's a great topic to look at. So we can change the diversity in some of those schools. Okay, but I want also to bring one other topic, is another connection. How much does this education committee work with Brooklyn Museum? What kind of activity they can do with Brooklyn Museum to address some of the during this remote session here, that, like you said, and they last until the end.
So just sticking to the specialized high school admission test as a well, actually, let me pause that for one moment, Nick, and I agree with everything you just said. Let me circle back briefly to the spelling bee and see if we can wrap that up and even decide if that's something that we want to take on, and then we can populate a subcommittee for it and move on to the next topic. How do we feel about that as a as an activity for this group?
I like it.
Good idea. P.S. I'm back.
Is anybody interested in taking the lead on it?
What would that look like?
It's a great idea. I don't know. Great question. I don't know.
I can support whoever wants to lead it. I can support. I have done some spelling bees at MS 61 and for District 17 in the past. I have materials. I have information. I can support whoever wants to take the lead on that. I can share.
Okay. So I have a question. Good point. Which students will be in the spelling bee? Community Board 9 students or a particular school? Who would be in the spelling? Where would the outreach occur?
So I think that the schools will choose the students who participate by having a spelling bee at the school level, take the winners from the spelling bee at the school level and submit their names to Community Board 9. And those would be the students who compete against each other, the schools in Community Board 9.
All the schools in Community Board 9?
Yes, all the schools.
I guess elementary schools, right? You would compete by grade or something like that.
Right.
So they would
by grade, right?
So the schools would choose the winners. Like they would send each school send at least 2 winners to represent them. So if you look at 2 winners per school and how many schools are in Community Board 9, that will be enough students to have, if they send 1 or 2 students, that will be enough students to have any virtual spelling bee.
Okay, so what would they win?
We have to decide. What I did in the past, I got people to donate. We got iPads. We got like Nick Perry, one time he gave tablets. We got Eric Adams, he gave gift cards. You have to get people to donate. People who have prizes to donate.
I want to do it.
To donate, and then that becomes the prizes for the children.
Okay.
Okay.
Beverly, you want to take the lead on this?
Yes, please, with support. Thank you.
And I'm happy to support. I think this is such a fun idea. Anybody else wants to be part of this?
I can join. I'll be a part of it.
I don't mind joining in because I like the idea. I already have an idea how to run this. The first thing that one must do is to locate the locality of all the schools within Community Board 9. That's the first step we have to do. Second step, we have to create a flyer and do a draft letter and send out to each of these principals in these areas so that they know what is going on. And then the third thing, you get together with whatever else you want to do. But so far, the first step is identifying all the schools within the board, the community.
Yeah, and the community board has that list. CB9 office has that list, including all contact information for the principals.
So I would like to join, and I would like to share some stuff that I have, information.
That is great. So I'll take notes on this at the end of the meeting. I'll just recap everybody that has signed up for what. One moment. Sure. Sorry. Go ahead, Beverly.
When would we be looking to have it?
Great question. What do people suggest?
I was thinking in May. April, like later on.
That's exactly the month I was thinking,
May or April.
When is school over?
School is over in June.
ELA, when are the exams? In April? They might be postponed, right? Or have they been canceled?
There's no news yet on whether exams are going to happen.
I think they, okay. Okay, so I was thinking April, May. When were you guys thinking about that?
I was thinking after Easter.
Yeah.
Late April.
Aren't there some tests that starts happening?
I think
Somewhere along there?
there's no information on the testing yet. I think we can tentatively set April, and I mean at some point the DOE is going to have to make decisions on testing. But I think at the moment, as far as I know, there's no information on whether testing will happen and what dates it would be.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if testing would happen on the regular schedule, right, then you probably want to do this more in the second part of May, right, after testing is done. But if testing is not done, I'd say April is kind of when the long slog to the summer hits, right, the end of April, and perhaps some spelling bee levity would be helpful. Okay.
If you need additional people, you can add me to this committee as well.
I'm sorry, is that Lorianne?
Yeah.
Yeah. So who do we said Beverly, Mr. Roberts, Demetria, Lorianne. Okay. All right. So let's pause for one moment and allow Ms. Rosario from the Brooklyn Public Library to give a library update, so she can go on with her life. Ms. Rosario.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Hi, sorry about that. It's bedtime nearing in my house, so I have to keep it moving. So just want to introduce myself to the new members. My name is Nyla Rosario. I'm with the Government Affairs and Community Engagement Department at the Brooklyn Public Library. I work with all 18 community boards in Brooklyn. I am the liaison for all boards, as well as doing community engagement and government relations for all 60 locations of Brooklyn Public Library. I just wanted to give you guys some update of what's happening at the library. As you know, a lot of locations have been closed because of Corona, but we do have grab and go services at the library, and patrons are going to be able to access lobbies for quick transaction. We're still going to ask for people to wear masks, and both the staff and the patrons. The materials that are being checked out right now are not going to accrue any fines. So if you could spread that out, I think that would be good if you could help us get the word out about that. I know a lot of people are concerned about fines that they're accruing during this time, but we will not be collecting any fines. There's going to be availability to do holds pickup and also returns. Bins are going to be available at the library lobbies. The libraries in your district are the Crown Heights Library, I believe the Eastern Parkway Library, and the Central Library. No, sorry, not Eastern Parkway. Crown Heights, Central are your libraries only. Broward Park is in the edge of the district, so I assume you get a lot of your constituents that also use the Broward Park Library.
The Maple district?
Yes, that's the Crown Heights Library.
That's right. Okay.
Yep. So just some general overview about what we've been up to at the library. We've partnered with the city's Taste and Trace Corps. So the library's been distributing more than 54,000 masks, and we've also reached about 19,000 Brooklynites with information about essential testing resources, and also offering information like where free test sites are located and emergency food relief. This partnership is going to continue until 2021. And we hope to, pivot it into some sort of cultural responsive outreach that we can do around the safe vaccine. Just a workshop that we're doing that I sort of want to plug is the financial. We're doing financial coaching by appointment. So the library's Business and Career Center is working with the Community Service of the Society of New York, and we're offering personal assistance, financial assistance to people for absolutely free. If people have questions about credit or debt, or if they want to manage their money. We're going to be offering these, like I said, absolutely free. What I'll do is I'll share the information in the link here in the chat, and I'll also email it to me at the community board, so she can maybe share it in the newsletter. On the 23rd, which is next Monday, we have a special resource briefing, which we've shared with the board, but we want to extend the invitation also to the chairs and members of different committees. So if you're interested in attending this, I can have the information sent to you. I'm going to put my email in the chat. So if anyone has any questions or anything that they, any concerns about the library, we'd love to support. I'm excited to hear about the projects that you guys are up to, everything from the spelling bee to the book fairs. Those are things that the library would love to support if we can. I know that you said you already had bookmarks, but we could, offer whatever support to go with your books when the time is necessary. And as far as the spelling bee, we've supported spelling bees in the past by offering gift packets. So we create book baskets for winners or for participants. So when the time comes, please let us know about that. And we would love to support any way possible. And I guess if anyone has any questions, I can take them now.
Thank you, Ms. Rosario. Any questions from anybody?
Perfect. Thank you so much. It was a great meeting the new members. Congratulations to the new, it's always exciting to see the new boards. So I'm glad that you guys have a lot of great ideas, and we look forward to being a good partner with this committee. So thank you.
Thank you so much for joining tonight. And I'm sure the subcommittees will be reaching out to you about support for these events. That's wonderful.
Perfect. Thanks so much.
Have a nice evening.
Okay. Goodbye. Bye.
Well, that's great. All right. So let's return to, let's see, it's just a quick time check. It's 8:40. Let's return to the specialized high school admission test info session. Nick spoke about that at length. How do other people feel about that as a potential event or initiative?
I have to ask again, what's the goal in that?
Yeah, I put in the chat, by the way, that I neglected to repeat, and I should have done that. I'll be sure to do that for the next meeting. We had worked on, and I apologize that really slipped my mind here to put this on the agenda. We have worked on a kind of a mission statement for this committee, and that is something we should finalize. But the mission statement that had been proposed focused on being, a provider of resources and services to the local community. I think there was a more artfully worded mission statement that I'll have to dig up. But that's the idea, right? For the committee, just to provide relevant and useful initiative and resources for the benefit of the community. And so this is, I think, an interesting topic. I think this is one of the things that doesn't, in my opinion, doesn't need a needs assessment per se, because this has been well reported on that there is a real discrepancy in enrollment and a lack of information for minority communities in particular that drives this kind of uneven enrollment in specialized high schools.
Yeah.
So I think it's a very relevant, very because
they resulted in a lawsuit, right?
Yeah, that's supposed to. I haven't read anything recent. I think there's supposed to be a ruling on that soon.
Oh, okay.
Because I think they were trying to do away with it altogether with the specialized.
Right, that's what I thought too. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's happening. I don't think they're going to do away with it.
So the Department of Education used to have Saturday classes for students to take to prep for the specialized high school exams in middle school. I'm not sure what's happening right now with that program, but I can try to find out if it still exists. What could a committee who's working on this actually do in terms of enhancing the community in terms of bringing information. I'm not sure, but I could find out. They used to have, because I worked for specialized high school on Saturdays and just training students to take the test. And it was very short. I came in at the end, but I did take 2 buses of students from our community. We left from MS 61. We went to downtown to Chambers Street, and they took a practice exam at the Bronx School of Science, and that was part of the specialized high school exam. So I don't know if it still exists or what's happening with that program right now.
Yeah.
But
So my
I can ask around and see.
Mhm. So I just wanted to share that my daughter was in the program over the summer, and she was in the DREAM program through the
Right.
Department of Education, and they have started back up as of last Saturday.
Okay, so DREAM, right? That's right. It's called DREAM.
Mhm.
Would it be covering? I had a high school student. We were having a board meeting one day, and a high school student walked up to me and she said, "Do you know any of us are not aware that there are specialized high school?" Would Nick, would you be part of your research support? Would that be
Yes.
part of it as well?
Yes, that would be part of the support. I think the first part is to really let the parents know, because usually it's the guidance counselor that usually in some school that would pick kids to go and take the test. Because I know, for example, I don't know if you guys know about the bilingual, so PS 189 on New York Avenue. That's been what this is one school who's been steadily feeding a lot of kids into specialized high school, because they start with them very early about that and get them ready and prepared. But in my experience, I did also work in the prep program when I was at Brooklyn Tech. There was subject of a lawsuit. Most parents are not aware of it. For the last 10 years, I work as a home instruction teacher, which means I visit kids at the home. And most parents for kids that are elementary and junior high school are not aware of it.
That's what she
And I
said.
think
She was a
they're
student
not
of
aware
color.
because, most of the community of color are not. The Asian community is one of the community that started early on that. And that's why you have the disparity between those schools, because take a school like Brooklyn Tech, which is almost 67% Asian. It's not the other kids are not just as bright, but the fact is they're not aware. Parents are not aware. This is something we definitely, I think this committee could start, set up information session to let a lot of the parents know to push their kids into getting into a program, be aware of the test. Once also they could push their PTA and their board to, when the schools are open, to really have that information disseminated.
Yeah.
In some area of the city, that information is not coming through.
Yeah.
Nick, are you what grade? I actually I'm not as informed on this. What grade do students take the specialized test?
The students take it in the 7th and 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
Just
7th
before
and
the
8th grade. That's when the exam is given. As a matter of fact, the exam was given, I think, last weekend. You had a long line of last weekend, but I think they had to stop it for some reason. It's always scheduled, because when I had my son, he went to Huddy Junior High School. Some of the top junior high school are also one of the schools that really push up the school thing. So I had him take the test. I mean, you take school like Mark Twain. These are mostly feeder school for the specialized, that's especially Brooklyn Tech and Stuyvesant. And the kids have two possibilities to take it. You take it in the in the 8th grade. If they fail it, if they get into high school, they have a chance to retake it again in the 9th grade. So they have 2 chances of getting into the specialized high school.
Yeah, I think the in my view, the committee, the role of the committee is best fulfilled by being this kind of a connector, right? The providing resources. Obviously, I don't think we're going to be the ones providing training, but connecting people to information and awareness of the availability. And my understanding is from reporting that is one of the main issues, right? That schools and parents actually don't know that this is even an option.
Schools don't know, but I don't know. Some schools don't talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that, but that information is always there on the Board of Ed website and all that stuff. But for certain communities, it need to be. There's a lot more that has to be done to let the parents and the students know about it.
How do we feel about this as a project for this committee to take on?
It sounds like a very viable.
Yeah.
I think it's a good project because it is true that a lot of people don't have the information that's needed for specialized high schools. And there's not a lot of training, and people don't know about the DREAM program. They just don't know how to get into the program. So I think it's a good project.
Does anybody want to raise their hand to lead this?
Yep, you can put Melanie down.
Melanie, that's fantastic.
I'll volunteer to help out in that because when I was teaching that was one of my pet peeves. I mean, one of my concerns because I went into the building and realizing how bad it was, especially for students of color in those buildings. And there's actually Brooklyn Tech as an alumni association of a Black Alumni Association of students who graduated from there. I had spoken to a few of them. They were very much interested in pushing that because on their experience. Being at, there's been quite a lot of stuff with them. Being at Stuyvesant, being at Tech, being at Bronx Science. And the other school is in Staten Island Tech. And actually, this system now is a two-tier system. We have the major specialized high school, and then you have the smaller ones. The smaller ones, there are two sets of them. So but the four major ones are Stuyvesant, Brooklyn Tech, Staten Island Tech, and Bronx Science. And at the top of my head, I don't have. I've been to some of those smaller schools. They are the smaller specialized high school.
Right.
I know there's one in Bushwick, York College. There's a school at City College, which is one of them. Yeah, okay. But they're much smaller. But the other schools are pretty large. You have a school like Brooklyn Tech that sometimes will have 6,000 to 7,000 students. It's a tough school for your kids to go to. My belief is that if you sometimes you get kids in there, but they don't survive. So it's not only to get them into the school, but you have also to set up the system to keep them there.
Great idea. I think do we have enough information to kind of attach this to a time of year, just to kind of see how we're spreading out our work?
I would have to garner that information from some of the things that the DREAM is sharing, just so I can have like different timelines and different things that I can share. You heard some of the things that Nick was saying, far as when those tests are given. And so that already knocks some students out of the ability to even participate. There are so many different underlying issues concerning this. And it sounds like a panel. It sounds like a Zoom discussion with maybe a representative from DREAM, someone from DOE, maybe someone representing, District 17. That's what it sounds like to me as an information session for the community and for parents to chime in on, so they can get more information, so that they can be able to prepare for those 7th graders. And I know we're lacking on time, but at another time, maybe I can share more about my experience.
So how about we just very tentatively put it on for February, and then we can reassess as we get into the meetings.
Okay.
Great. Okay. It is 8:53. I think I'm a stickler for ending meetings on time. We all have busy lives and long days, so I think we should make it a habit to do that. There's two more things I quickly want to address. Either project or a subcommittee that perhaps can go hand in hand with finding some additional members. I do think that it would be useful to have some members focus particularly on social media and outreach. If we're going to focus our energy on doing a number of different events for the community, then we should have some some activity or some effort behind pushing the word out, aside from the things that Mia and the team at CB9 would do. And so perhaps I'll let you mull that over a little bit, including whether you have an idea of what additional members we could attract that could help us specifically with that. I do think we have an opportunity to add some additional members, some non-community board members, just community residents, right? And so you can give some thought if there's anybody in your circle that perhaps wants to provide some service, and this could be one particular service that they could assist in. Okay.
Could I just interject? Do you already have a social media platform? Do you have a Facebook? Do you have a Twitter? Do you have an Instagram?
Well, the CB9 has a Facebook page. I know that the youth committee itself has an Instagram page. If I remember correctly, that had to be approved by CB9. I'd have to look into that, how that works. I don't think we could just create a platform and start running content on it, since as representatives of the community board. But as far as Facebook pages, I think that would have to go through to the community board page. Khalid, if you're on, perhaps that's something you can enlighten us on.
So if you have those pages, for instance, like the college, right? We have a Facebook page for the college, but different people have access to the page. So for instance, I work for Student Life, so I deal with almost all the students and them on campus. I actually have access to add to the page, to do social media pushing on Facebook, I do Twitter and Instagram, right? And then I do actual mass emails to the whole student population. So if you have to take that approach, then the community board will have to actually either we create the content and give it to them to push for us, and then when they push it, now our members itself have to be able to tag people within the community. So when you push something on Facebook, you have to get people to tag it. So if you tag it, it means to go more further to more people. So if I post something, I can tag 50 persons, and then you push it, you can tag 50 persons. But we have to first have access to the Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram if this guys where we want to go to, and then we have to be able to link our pages with things like Brooklyn Community Board, different affiliation within the community, so our message could galvanize and reach a wider population. That's as far as I know for social media.
Right. Yeah, well, that all sounds great. I think that's the point being, of course, that we should have our own effort of pushing out our word and not only rely on what the CB9 office does. Right. I think that would be useful to combine with all our other efforts.
Okay, one more before I cut, and I don't want to interject, but sorry, I just have some ideas. I know when I have ideas, I get excited. So with the Facebook page, right, what can happen? We can do our contents, then and whoever is controlling this Facebook page will have to approve what go out, because literally, like when I do Facebook contents, right, my social media people at the college, they actually, what I will send out 100 things. And some of this stuff I have free rights to send, and some of this stuff they will actually approve it in order for it to go out. So I think that might be a way that we can go, that whatever content that we want to put out from our education and library committee, it goes to we create the content and then we send it to whoever is in control to get that final push out. So then there's nothing that we are not going to be pushing anything that they don't want outside, and we wouldn't, and you know what I mean.
Mr. Roberts, it sounds like you would be a great lead for a social media subcommittee.
I wouldn't mind helping because I just know some stuff.
Sounds like you know more than some stuff.
Now I know every single thing. I just know what I do. I ask questions. So even if I don't know, trust me, you will swear no. I'll call everybody and ask everybody what to do.
Okay. All right. So I think we're going to start wrapping things up. I think generally, we didn't fill the whole year yet. I think my sense is that it's probably wise to not kind of overbook ourselves. The world is rapidly changing still, and I think it's probably a good idea just to kind of keep our ear to the ground and see what other kind of issues emerge or challenges emerge, and can continue to think about additional projects that we want to mount. I think what's the expression? Nothing. I can't remember the expression, but nothing like success, right? I think we want to actually get some things off the ground and have them be successful instead of kind of overbooking ourselves. Let's see. Are there any final comments or questions? An opportunity for a final closing comment from anybody. Open floor.
Well, I think tonight we have came up with several initiatives, and what we need to do is to probably begin to work at least with 1, 2, or 3 within the now until the next meeting. So at least we'd reach somewhere. Rather than having 10 initiatives and we have done nothing, we could begin to start to work on stuff. And I believe that if we all volunteer our own selves to do stuff, it means nobody push us to do it. It means that we should be committed to doing what we assigned to do. And let us all try to work with harmony in order to make this team successful. That would be my only one plea, is that we try to do the things that we have to do. I know that there are times, we all have different times, but if we commit ourselves, when I said Dimitri called and said we have to have a meeting, I would rather us not, shut up I'm busy at this, but try to commit to it. If Miss Lois, whoever calls a meeting and whatever we have to do, let us try to do it at least, so our committee could actually look like we're doing something, because I don't like to be on no board, no committee that is dead horse and don't do nothing. I am a very competitive person, so I like to make sure that I have things done that people would, not that for them to say what we do, but if we are a board and we are working for people, we should be able to have, which is called, we have goals, we have long-term and short-term goals. So what we probably need to do is to look at the goals that we have that we can achieve within this month as the short-term, and those that we have to work on, like the spelling bee and those kind of stuff, could be our long-term project, because that wouldn't happen this month, but probably sometime around by March, we'll be able to galvanize and have everybody take everything together to make that event a success.
I couldn't agree more, Mr. Roberts. I think that's very well said. Any other closing comments?
No, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that, Dexter. I'm sharing my email in the chat now so that Nick and Beverly and I can get some things together to maybe report for the next meeting.
Yeah, Melanie, were you included on the last email, the announcement of the meeting today?
Yes.
You were. Okay, good. So everybody has that as well. Great. I will clean up the minutes in the next couple of days and send those out to you so you can review the various committees that we have that we discussed, and including some of the tasks that we all committed to. Thank you so much. I thought that was very productive. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly did. We are going back to our regular meeting schedule. For those of you that joined a little bit later, again, my apologies to the group for rescheduling. We will stick now moving forward to the second Tuesday of each month. And if I can just take a very quick peek at the calendar, I will tell you what that is. It is December, excuse me. That would be December the 8th, would be our next meeting, 7 to 8:30 or 7 to 9. It looks like we filled those 2 hours quite easily. So December 8th, and I'll make sure that any minutes and tasks will come out to you the next few days. So we have ample time to get some of these initiatives underway. Any other closing comments?
Competing with the Europe committee, so for that day.
On that day, yeah, I think that's correct. That we often are on the same. That's I think that's the case generally. There are a number of committees that end up on the same day. I think they find that ULURP and education are probably far enough apart that there's not a ton of overlap.
Okay.
Great. I'll grab that information, numbers, and put that in the file as well, Demetrius. So everybody has it.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, in that case, I wish everybody a wonderful evening. Meeting adjourned. I'm going to just leave, Khalid, if you can leave the meeting up for just a moment so I can grab some of these things from the chat. And then I look forward to seeing everybody in a little bit under a month on December 8th. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, everybody. Hopefully you are able to spend some time either in person or remotely with family members. And I wish you all well.
Thank you.
Same to you, sir, and same to the board, to everyone.
Good night, everyone. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Hey, good night.
Good night.
Khalid, are you still on?
I am here, Real. Yes. You
All
can
right.
take what you need from the chat. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just copying. I don't think I need. Let's see. This is. Let me just grab Michelle, Melanie, Michelle. Yeah, we have everybody else. All right. That's the last thing. 1 second.
Mr. Almanor, are you trying to give Beverly Newsom your number?
Correct.
Okay, she's not here anymore, so we can just have. Yeah, we'll email that to her.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Khalid.
Okay, Nick, no worries.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Almanor. Thank you for joining today. That was really great. All right, Khalid, we're all good. Thank you so much. I thought that was very productive.
Perfect. Okay, Real. So you just let me know if you need anything. Of course, tomorrow, you send your notes, and anything else you want me to follow up on for you, I can do that for you.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right. Have a good night.
You too.